So thank you all for coming to Art at the Cave. We have been here since 2017, so we're in our 6th year. We're entering our 6th year. But we work a bit different than your typical gallery. We don't represent artists, we represent art. And I think that's pretty accurate. We change out the exhibit every month. So it's a fresh exhibit every month. We do always showcase local artists, and that will either be by invitation or through an open call. And we have about 2 or 3 open calls a year. So this month, we are featuring the Oregon Potters Association. And then next month, we will have In the Beginning, and that is an open call. So we'll have artists from all over the region featuring work about origin stories. So the beginning of everything and all sorts of interpretations for that. We will hear from today Roberta Lampert, Martin Kagan, possibly Nora Brodnicki. Yes, excellent. And Erick Martinez. So we'll start off with Roberta. This is her piece, and she'll also tell you a little bit about OPA. Oh.
Okay, so welcome to everybody. I'm Roberta, and I was asked to tell you a little bit about Oregon Potters Association. We're an organization that started in, I think, the early 80s. So we are over 40 years old, and we started with just a small group of potters, professional potters, who had been deprived of our source of materials due to a fire that started in the Portland Bolt Factory and spread to Portland Pottery Supply. And Portland Pottery Supply had no insurance. And that was the end of the raw material scene for most people in Portland. So a group of about 20 or 30 potters got together, and we started a buying cooperative where we would, every other month, we would talk about what we needed by, of course, we didn't have email, so it was all kind of a mail and phone call organization. And every other month we would meet at what was then the Oregon School of Arts and Crafts and divide up our materials and have a little meeting and get together, and our members would talk about what they were doing or what they were developing or where they had been. And it was a very collegial atmosphere. And now we are a group of over 300 potters, and our membership includes professional potters and students and teachers and avocational potters and maybe even just people who are interested in ceramics. And we have a pretty big reach. We do artists in education. We have a big Artists in the Schools program. We do community outreach. We do professional development for potters, run some workshops. We have studio partnerships with some of the other bigger membership studios in Portland. And so that's who we are, and we are pretty much all volunteer. So we rely on our members to help the organization run. And we are always planning for the next things that we will be doing. So next year, we will be having our really big sale that we have every year in April or May, which is at the Oregon Convention Center. And we usually have over 100 potters there. And we are also starting our planning for an intercultural exchange with the Hokkaido Potters Society in Sapporo, Japan. They're going to be celebrating their 55th anniversary, and we are going to be invited to submit juried works, as many as 24 pieces, to send to Japan for an exhibition at the Crafts Museum in Sapporo. That's what I can tell you about Oregon Potters Association. Anybody who's here can tell me if I missed something. And then I'll just say a little bit about my work, which tends to be functional rather than non-functional, and is mainly based on my experiences in nature, in the outside world, from textures and the colors and the emotional nourishment that I get from being outdoors. I spend a lot of time at the beach, and I have been a kayaker and a hiker and a backpacker, and I love the textures that I see in nature and the patterns and the colors. So that's where my focus tends to lie. I do a mixture of hand-built work and wheel-thrown work. I have a salt soda kiln at my studio, which I fire, which is very high fire. This was fired in a wood kiln. So wood kiln requires a lot of people to work in community to keep it going and get it to temperature and work together, which I also love. I work by myself, so these firings are a really nice time for me to get together with other people. I think that's what I can tell you at the moment.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Martin Kagan. Lovely to see you all, and it's a pleasure to present my work to you. There's two pieces that I'm going to be discussing, and I brought in a surprise. So essentially, I am a self-taught artist, and the episode is not that long. I did clay work as a child. If you read up my little bio, will tell you that I played around with putty extensively, and I got a knack for doing it. I left it for over 50 years. Came back to it during COVID, and there are 300 statues in my world, and you're going to be looking at three of them, two that were on display. So essentially what you're looking at is slab work, principally. This is all slab work, and if you take the time just to flow with me, you'll see it. This is one sheet of slab, like a pizza. You take a pizza and as raw pizza dough, and you'd spin it around as you see them doing at the pizza parlors. And this is like a calzone. You take the one, you wrap it over, use my hand on the inside, and I literally developed the skill set from an internal and external point of view. You can see my hands are touching as I would normally touch them. And I create the feature sets. And in fact, it's really easy to see in the unfolding of it that this is essentially an oval-based pizza platter. This is version 4. Of the 300, I've categorized them because I've been changing and augmenting them continuously to enhance them. And this is Raku fired. I know it looks a little bit like bronze, but the Raku is able to bring out these wonderful lusters. And what I'm going to do is move immediately to the second one, so you can see the difference. This is essentially just in my terms, a flap over, and there's an exact sizing calibrated to my fist, and that's how I essentially produce them. The other one is somewhat different. If I can just get that one in front of you, I'll just leave this one here. They're both very similar. They were versions 4, approximately 6 months old, and things have changed. This is the same thing. This was, I apologize, this is Galactical Maiden, and this one is Genteel Smiling, as you can see by her look. She's got a classical lady's appearance, and the difference between the two is that I was able to manipulate the neck whilst in construction, so the clay, which I left out, is almost leather hard when I start the work, and that allows it to keep the form without collapsing, which is the central secret of the whole procedure. But this one was done differently. I angulated the neck, as you can see, and the hair flows. This is all about flow. So whereas that one is straight up front, this one has got clearly the advantage of positioning. It's looking up, and she's got a beautiful flow in terms of the hair. The story about this is this happened by accident. Everything was, the head was curved, but this one here was coming down, and as she was coming down, she slipped, and it further augmented the hairline itself. And in the hairline is the secret of what I think is a fairly nice piece. Of the 300 pieces, she literally stands out. But the one feature that I will share with you is they all, and I'll have to put it down afterwards separately, they're all positioned with a central core. And how I get it in and out of the Roku oven, as well as prepare it, is this hole in the head. It's not like me, a little bit off center with a hole in the head. No, this is purposely designed to have a hole in the head, and it allows for the classical positioning of it on any of the selected pieces. I'm not going to be able to get it exactly in place because I'm going to be showing you something else, but this furthers the work. And what you're seeing in front of you is version 6 up there. This is a new process, both for me and I believe in clay in general. Internal to this structure is a almost egg type shape that's been fired. So there's a bisque head internal to this without features. It's bland. It's featureless. No nose, definitely no eyes, no ears. And I use that as a position development of it. And this is Gentile smiling six generations instead of the 4th generation. And from here, my purpose of doing this essentially is to be able to get to the stage of doing a piece of bronze. So I've come from a piece of clay this big to producing Galactical Maiden, Gentile Smiling, which stand by themselves, to the inner core, both the inner core and the preparation for a bronze piece of statue. But they come from the same concept. All slab work. In terms of the inner chamber, the rest is oil-based clay. If you haven't seen it before, the stuff never dries. As you can see, I can change it continuously. I did a few dents on the way in here. But they are definitely changing and evolving. So thank you for your time, your concentration. Hope that you enjoy the work, and I hope to produce many more in the ensuing years to come. Thank you. Oh. Very good question. I manufactured, you're talking the inner core? Oh, these? Oh, I have a relationship with a company called Goodwill. And I clean them out of their best features every time I see them. So I must have, without it. Yes, I've converted lamps into bases. If you want to have a look at this one, it's real simple. There's the lamp. It's got a special structure that holds the head in place. These are somewhat different because of the core channel. I did a little bit of re-engineering. So a little bit of tinkering, creating that center core, and having that hole in the head allows me to accomplish that. Yes, mixed medium. And I forgot the most important question. I apologize. Any questions, please? I'd love to answer any one that you have.
What's your bronze
So I set up a relationship with Rip Caswell at his foundry in Troutdale. And I just so happened to have been in his gallery for the last 6 months before I was here. We were there in Troutdale for 6 months, and there were 60 pieces there. And he looked at them and he said one thing to me. He says, "I don't know how you do these." So I said, "That's fine." But as a result of that, a lady walked up to me and introduced herself to me, called Marlena, and she does amazing work in the bronze arena. And it just so happens on the 26th and 27th of this month, I'm going to go work together with her. She's doing me and I'm doing her. And I had to beat her to the punch, and I can share with you the picture that I did of hers. But this is only the 8th one that I've done. So it's gone from 0 to that in a period of about two and a half weeks, 3 weeks. Any other questions? Happy to answer. Thank you again.
Hi, my name is Nora Brodnicki. I'm a member of the OPA. I've been a member, though Roberta would be like, "What? I haven't seen," because I've been in the background. I've been a member for probably about 20 years, something like that. And I teach at Clackamas Community College. I have a master's degree in art history and an MFA in ceramics. And so teaching has been where I have been at. And at Clackamas Community College in Oregon City for almost, I think, 24 years now. So this is my piece. And so I should also say I'm a potter. I teach ceramics. I also teach art history. And I am, in my ceramic world, I'm a potter. So when I saw this thing pushing boundaries, I was like, oh yeah, I pushed those boundaries, and I didn't make a mug that was functional or a bowl. I just thought about me and did this piece about a year or so ago. I actually did 3 pieces. 2 were like these round double-walled vessels that were tubed, and I poked holes in them, and I added insulin bottles, and then I melted them in the kiln. So I have had type 1 diabetes. I realized this. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 1983, so I'm coming up on my 40th year of struggling, coping with this bullshit disease that they told me when I was 13 and I got it, that there would be a cure in 5 years, and they keep telling us cure in 5 years. So this I designed, and hopefully they'll stay. They're Velcroed in. I created these forms like clocks. So that's intentional. I was like, oh, round vessel, it's a clock. And this is like a daily thing. I don't know if you noticed, but I've got this tube that comes into This is my insulin pump. I wear a continuous glucose monitor, and I have insulin pumped in me all the time. So, ooh, there's that cure, right? It's not a cure. I constantly have low blood sugars, high blood sugars. And so this is a piece that's just about the crapola of being human, really, right? We deal with, and everyone deals with their thing. So I just investigated in a kind of functional form that's dysfunctional, but I think also just generally speaks to dysfunction, dysfunction. So that's my thing. Yeah.
I'm curious about the other piece you described.
Yeah.
What happened when you left the little insulin?
Oh, so what happens is it cracked, it melted. And I will tell you, I have 2 cookie jars full of insulin bottles. I keep them, and I put them, and I had a whole bunch of them, and I'm like, oh, I got to make art out of these because I've been hanging on to them. So I made 4 other objects. One of them was similar to this, but rather I left the insulin bottles in there, and so it pushed the clay and I didn't like it. And then the other one, it melted and looks kind of funky and gray. And the third, I just glued insulin bottles into it. So, because it melts, but it's kind of like a mix of metal and not pretty. So, any other questions?
No. Hi. Well, hello everybody. First, I just want to take a few seconds to say thank you for being here. I've seen so many familiar faces right now, like friends and family, and yeah, I just want to say thank you for sharing this moment with me, and thank you for being here. So art. I think art is a very complex subject because it means something different from everybody, right? So everybody has a different definition about art, and when someone makes art, they have sometimes a different goal. And I think those two things really shape what we create as an artist. So my definition of art is that art is the highest expression of what it means to be human. And that's what I reflect on my pieces. So each piece is just a little tiny bit of the whole spectrum, of the huge spectrum of what it means to be human. So I capture what it feels to be hopeless, or what it means to feel hurt in the other piece, or or at least an attempt, or how it feels to be heartbroken at times. Um, and I think that being human means to be a complex creature that feels with intensity, because we love and we hate, and then we feel lonely, and then life is just this mess of emotions, positive and negatives, and so yeah, that's basically what I try to do with all my pieces. Um, so I think about last year, I showed someone my art, and then the guy looked at my pieces, and then he said, "Oh, your art is very depressive. I don't like it," and I get it, you know, I think I understand, but I don't think that's the goal that I have with my pieces. I think my real goal with my art is to communicate that a good life is not one that lacks pain, or it's not one that lacks problems. I think that a good life is one where all those emotions are present in your life, but still makes a better version of yourself. Make you feel, or make you be kinder, and make you feel just better human. Make you feel more compassionate with what you feel, or just connect with others in a more meaningful way. Um, so my intention is to capture the emotion, but also give you a little clue or what I learned from those experiences and how I grew up from that. So, for example, in this piece, it's heartbreak. I wanted to capture the pain of, you know, what it feels to maybe give all that you have and maybe feel still that it's not enough, or just how sometimes it feels that you're falling to pieces. But I also, in the poems that I wrote, or usually what I grow with each piece, is what I learned. So in this one, I learned that um, in the last sentence of the poem, I grow like, she's enough every morning, every night, every day. She's a precious creature. Her value has nothing to do with him. So in this piece, I wanted to capture that your value as a human being has absolutely anything with the behavior or the decisions that a human takes. And in another piece of hopelessness, yes, I capture the feeling, but my intention with that piece is to capture that even though the emotion feels tiring, one day when the emotion moves on, when you move on, you're gonna put your head up, and then you're gonna see all the hands around you and all the help that it's available to you. So yeah, that's my art, and that's what I make. What I make. All right. Do you guys have any questions? With most of them, yes. With each piece, it's on my Instagram or my website. But yeah, yeah, I try. Yeah, everything is 100% clay. So yeah, what I did in this piece was create like different pieces, and then when they're like um, not necessarily like when they're dry enough to don't lose the shape. I kind of like connect them, all of them, and then I use epoxy, and then I mix it with kind of like a kind of glitter to make it like this beautiful and metallic.
That's not a glaze. The metallic glaze. It's not glaze.
This no. So there is like a metallic like look in most of the pieces. So that's a glaze. That's rusty gold. But this kind of like orange, kind of like copper. That's actually epoxy combined with glitter that I found in. And I usually sometimes also put it like over here to give some extra strength, because I knew that with clay and with ceramics this is very, very fragile. So in those kind of like connections where it's easily or likely to break, I put some epoxy so it stays firm and lasts longer. So this, like the base was a piece completely, so I kind of like assemble and I put it on the fire. But then usually the piece, like the human figures, I fire them separately. So with puas, I fire the base, and then with epoxy, I use it a lot. I connected the two pieces, and same thing like with her, I fire it separately, and then I attach it to the base. Yes. Yeah, this was a very hard like thing to do. Like it was very, very delicate, especially I was very nervous like before the first firing. But yeah, it came out great, no cracks. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks. All right, thank you so much.
Well, thank you all. Hi. Thank you to all of our audience